Today's episode is brought to you by Macy's. And just a heads up, Easter is early this year, so get everything you need to host for Sunday, March 31st now, so you're not too late. You can get anything from pastel outfits for the whole family to brunch-ready serveware. Macy's has everything you need, literally everything in every category. They also have Toys R Us Easter basket goodies, from books to stuffed animals and even slime. Find it all in store and online at Macys.com. Let's get into today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Liz and Lex.
Welcome back.
We're
I
virtual.
feel I feel so far
I
from
feel
you.
so far. Well, we really technically are. We're like 2,500 miles away.
I don't know geography, so I'm going to trust you on that one.
I only know because I was looking on like Find My Friends, and one of my friends in LA, it said that. So
Oh
that's
my God.
why I know.
How
But
are you? How
I'm
is home?
good. I'm doing really good. I am just tired, which fits into this week's topic, which we're going to be discussing, which is balancing burnout, mental health.
Hmm.
And I think we've both just experienced a lot of this recently.
Yeah.
And I feel like our intro, like the catch up on our day to day, is going to just kind of flow into this week's topic because I know you're not doing your best right now. So how are you?
I'm on my last leg.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling great. I'm sick. I've got some sort of virus and something last Friday, I woke up and this completely took me out. And I don't know what's going on. It's not COVID, thank goodness. But like, I basically, like, my body shut down. And, I was supposed to host like a pizza making night on Thursday. I was going to run 5K on Saturday morning for the place I volunteer was a charity run. And everything just went, we were supposed to record, everything just went out the window because I just got so sick. And
Yeah.
then by Monday, I sent you a voice note because we were going to record yesterday. And I was like, I have no voice. My voice is gone now. So, like, my body just said, you need a break. The
Hmm.
burnout is real. Everything that I had planned, when you make plans, God laughs. And then I'm so wiped out. And normally it's like mentally and emotionally, and I can handle it. But now it's physically. And I
Yeah.
always feel that's like the last in the house of cards. And then it's like, you got to be out.
Okay, but just to like yell at you a little bit and reprimand you, you weren't taking it easy, even though you were still sick. And like we talked,
I
like
know.
you were in your eyes, but in my eyes, I'm like you kept posting like outfit of the days. I'm like, how are you dressed? Like when I felt like you needed bed. I feel like you needed to be bedridden, but you
Hmm.
we're having a hard time doing that. And that's something that we were talking about. And it's something I experience as well. So I think it's really interesting to dig into like this pressure that we put on ourselves to keep going, even when we're not 100%. And
Yep.
just watching you, I was like, go to bed.
No, I know. And so this is my problem. And I don't know. I don't know. It's like I don't know. Like, there's two things, right? Like, when I'm relaxing, I feel like I'm not doing, like, I could be doing things, even light things. And I understand that relaxing is important and resting, but like, I have this huge element of guilt associated with it. And then on top of that, it's like, I don't, this is like definitely something from my childhood for sure. But like, when I'm actually sick, like, I feel like nobody's going to believe me. Because when I was sick growing up, my mom was like, you're fine, go to school, even though I was actually sick. You know what I mean? But it's like I had plans with people and they were in town, and you make these commitments. And I hate canceling last minute because I feel like that's flaky. And I
Yeah.
don't want to be seen as flaky. And I don't want to like leave people hanging. And so then I like did less than what I had originally proposed to do, but it's still doing something. And
Hmm.
I have to like still get organized, like I've got a pile of books and I've got
Yeah.
boxes everywhere still. So
I
yeah,
feel like
it's guilt.
I do a guilt thing as well. I notice ever since I became an entrepreneur, the most the times I notice it is the most is when the world has off. I have a hard time
Hmm.
keeping myself off. So like
Yeah.
between Christmas and New Year's, or
Yes.
if people have like a Monday off for, I don't know, President's Day, whatever it may be, I
Hmm.
have this weird guilt associated to giving myself off. And not only I try to give myself off, but then mentally I can't stop working. And I think what happened this past winter, 3 months ago, however long, between Christmas and New Year's, I refused to give myself off. If anything, I revved up. And then
Yeah,
I
you did.
started the year with back-to-back tea parties, moving, a new puppy, all of these things, my birthday. And then my burnout, everyone hits their burnout at the end of the year. Mine was at the beginning of this year. And
Yeah.
because when everyone was slow and easing into things, I was like revving up because I have this self-guilt where I'm like, you can't stop. And it's interesting because we both have it kind of in different ways. And then, like, let's say I was sick, I would give myself off. Like, I would give myself 2 days to lay in bed. Like, I literally would. But I wouldn't feel good doing that because I'd be guilt tripping myself the whole time, being like, why
Yeah.
you're being so lazy. So it's like, yes, my body's getting relaxation, but my mind is guilting myself. So it's like, how do you strike that balance between giving your body the time that it needs and like mentally letting yourself off the hook?
Yes. And I think that's the thing too. Like again, you're talking about being entrepreneurial. Like I'm like joking about this being like from my childhood and feeling guilty about being sick, but like I also, with work, it's how busy work is right now. And it's like
Yeah.
I have people at work and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you're sick, but I need you to like do this, 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 this." Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like you can't stop.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm just like, I actually don't have the choice right now. And so that also is this layer of like, I might as well just keep going because if I actually stop like a little bit, I will crash like I did on Friday. And obviously I needed to, and I will. Like, I think I'm going to take, I have Friday off, but I think I'm going to take Thursday off as well and just rest. But like, I hear you. There's a lot of layers, and it's interesting how self-critical we are and how
Mhm.
hard we are on ourselves when like my body is physically telling me I need rest. Like I was sending you a voice note being like, it was good we're not recording today because
Can't
I
talk.
still kind of sound, but yesterday like couldn't talk. So I don't know.
I,
I gotta talk to
I
my therapist about this
no,
again.
I really relate to it. I think that, and I have actually talked to a previous therapist about it, and
Hmm.
it's like giving yourself that break without the guilt associated to it. Like, it's like reframing the way that you relax. So it's like instead of being like, my internal dialogue would be like, you're so lazy, you could be doing stuff, you shouldn't be laying here,
Yes.
so inactive. It's about rephrasing it in your mind where it's like, oh my gosh, it feels so good to relax right now. So this is so nourishing for my body that I'm giving myself this opportunity to enjoy this. Oh my gosh, look at this. I get to enjoy my favorite show without doing those
Yes.
things and piling onto yourself. It's like allowing yourself the opportunity to truly enjoy it and not feel like you're punishing yourself for it.
Yeah, my therapist always talked about this and like how I need to practice self-compassion, and I
Yeah.
don't give myself self-compassion. It's like something I'm like really low scale on because I give so much, like we're both really empathetic. I give so
Yeah.
much compassion to other people, and I like try to put myself out there and be there for other people, but I don't show myself the same compassion, and it's something that she's like, it's going to be a mental practice for you because like you
Yeah.
can practice it and do it and be really high, but like I've genuinely forgot, you know what I mean? Um,
100%.
and then I saw I follow like a very wellness girly on TikTok, and she was like, or sorry, on Instagram, and she had like some reel and it was saying, staying at home by yourself and watching your favorite show and relaxing like is a plan. Like don't tell yourself that that's not a plan, right? Because so often
Yes.
it's like I've made a plan to like stay. Even last week, it's like Friday, I'm gonna stay home and relax because I don't feel well. And my friend was like going through some like a breakup or situation, was writing me, and they were like, "Can I come over?" And I was like, "Yeah, totally, come over. Like you can hang out. We can figure it out. I have to wear a mask because I don't feel well. Like, and I don't know what it is." And she's like, "No, stop." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
so quick to just be like, "Oh, your needs come before mine."
Yes. That's so valid and so true. And I think I think it's a practice. Like I think it is something that you have to practice for
Yeah.
until it becomes just your second
Nature.
nature almost.
Yeah.
Where um I definitely feel like I've been that way, but like recently I haven't had a day off. And like I have a plan every single night of the week. And then like even the night that you were supposed to have your pizza thing, which wound up getting canceled, like I had a migraine that day. And like I have the same thing as you where I'm like, people are gonna think I'm lying about being sick. It's like, why
Yes.
do we
What is
feel that
that?
way? I
I
think
don't know.
I think because when you're younger, people like play hooky from school and they
Yes.
lie. So then in your adult life, you're like assume that everyone's going to think if you're canceling something last minute, that's why. But
Hmm.
like I've had to learn in those moments with myself to be like, you like will not show up fun or like you will not show up as yourself. You're going to be miserable. You're going to be in pain. You're going to
Yeah.
like not good company. So like it almost also sometimes is for the other person. Like if you're not showing up the way that you know you're going to be your best, it's like sometimes
Yeah.
it's
Is that really
like I
even
need to
better?
see
Like,
it.
is it even good that you go? You know what I mean?
Exactly. If you're just not even showing up fully. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that we've both kind of had like a really busy, overwhelming start to the year. And I think as we continue to navigate, like obviously this isn't an episode on like, here are all the tools to fix this because
No.
we don't know.
I know. I like was writing in our notes and I'm like, obviously, I want to talk about balancing burnout. And I'm like, I'm not the best person to give this advice right now. But I do think it's important that we talk about the mere fact that like we're going through it too, right? Because it's not something that's going to ever go away. I think also in the nature of what we do, where we're balancing and juggling so many different projects and opportunities and like, personal life and our professional life, also having a social component, like it gets really hard. Like you said, it's like we could have plans every night of the week and
Yeah.
you're not giving that downtime. And then you want to do your personal social things. You want to do things on the weekend. You want to see Sean. Like it's just, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. And this past weekend when I saw him, I feel like it was the first weekend in a while where like I really was in a bad mood. And like normally,
Oh,
because I'm in such like the new part of my relationship, normally when I see him, even if I'm in a bad mood, I'm automatically in a better mood when I see
yeah,
him. You know what I mean? But I feel like this was the one weekend where I couldn't shake the fact that I was so overwhelmed that it was spilling into my weekend. And
yeah.
I was just really anxious about traveling with Chai.
I was gonna say,
I'm hosting an event in New York City and like making sure that attendees come and coordinating the logistics of travel and makeup and hair and content. And I'm overwhelmed just talking about it, honestly. Like I just had to take a
I
deep
know. My
and
mom always comments, Alyssa, when I travel with Chaco alone, I get so anxious before, like I'm irritable.
I was
She's just like,
irritable.
this is how, like, she's like, this is a pattern because you're nervous, which is fair. But she's like, recognize that this anxiety and this irritability is coming from the fact that you feel overwhelmed because it's a lot and it was your first time.
I think I dramatized in my head a little bit, being like, I'm gonna be one of those girls with like my cute travel luggage and like my cute little pup. I was very overwhelmed. Like I
Hmm.
was overwhelmed with the fact that it was the closest I've ever felt to being like, wow, I've the responsibility of taking care of a living, breathing little thing on my own. And she was great. Like she really did so well. I gave her the medicine that
Good.
the vet prescribed. But then it was a long day. Like leaving home to getting on the plane and landing was like a 9, 10 hour day.
Yep.
And I have this little dog with me who's still working on being potty trained. And then I come back to my sister's and I'm anxious because I don't want her barking and waking up the baby because it's late
Mhm.
here at that point. I'm setting up her playpen and her pop-up tent and her this and her that. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm a single mother.
No, yeah. And like you don't want her like peeing in the house, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like just in case. So like you also need eyes on her. Like I
Yeah,
told you, it's like preparing for having a child.
it really
It
is.
really is because you're juggling and your attention span is split, right? So
Mhm.
it's a lot. And then the plane, it's like you don't want her to whimper or bark, and then everybody's looking at you
Yes.
and they're like, they've got to stay in the carrier under the seat. Da 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 da. I'm like, oh gosh.
It's how I imagine like parents feel when their kid is crying in public, is how I feel like if
Yes,
he were to be barking or whimpering.
exactly. But
So
I don't know which one's more tolerable. Depends on the person, I guess.
So I was just anxious like all weekends and I was kind of like throwing off that energy to Sean and like I have to say he really stepped up and like really helped me. Like we took Chai to the beach and
Yep.
he like we got there and like he helped me set up all her stuff and he like ran around with her to tire her out and like it was so nice to have extra hands because he was like carrying he was like you carry the dog. He had like both of our chairs, a cooler, a this that like
Yep.
he was like fully like, really helping me and I kept telling him how much I appreciated it, but it also made me realize how different it is having that helping hand
Oh
versus
my gosh.
doing it on your
Yes.
own.
Like the way that, again, it's just like having two sets of hands makes for lighter work, right? I was thinking about this. I was making dinner last night and I was like, I have to like make the dinner, but then I also have to like clean. Normally I was
Yeah.
like thinking about the fact that it's like, oh, I'll cook, you clean. Like, no,
Yeah.
like I'm washing and drying, baby. Like I'm a single mother here.
No, exactly. And like it makes me appreciate because I think for so long I didn't have a partner. So I'm
Hmm.
still not out of the phase of like just being reliant on it. I'm still in the appreciation phase or almost like the shock phase of being like, oh, someone helps me.
Yes, I know. Even on Sunday, I was parking and this guy was helping me parallel park. And um, I'll tell you about that after. But like he like got out of the car and was like helping me. And I was like trying to figure it out. And I was like, oh no, I got it. Like I'm looking at the mirror and whatever. He's like, I'm not gonna like make you hit the car behind you. Like I'm here to help you. And I was like, my brain does not register that at all.
Huh?
Like
Uh-huh.
my ex was not helpful like that at all. It was like I would have been the one out of the car doing it. And you know what I mean? I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm not used to this. And I'm a control freak. So like that also that's something I own, but it's weird.
It's very weird. Like,
But I'm happy. Like I love hearing that for you. And I love like that you also acknowledge it to him because I feel like that's such important communication, especially early on.
yeah, I texted him and I was like, thank you so much for like helping me so much this weekend when I was like clearly on edge. And
Hmm.
he said and he was so cute because like he said, like, thank you for acknowledging that I helped a lot. I
He's
was like,
like, I think I like this little
I
life.
know, literally. But it was just one of those things where, yeah, like I was just feeling so much overwhelming. And I
Hmm.
also have looming over my head that I am moving for 3 months this summer and I'm launching a new product and I'm figuring out, I'm balancing so many things. And I think that it's one of those things that, again, we're not really giving out advice, but I think what we can continue to do, excuse me, I have hiccups, is walk through this with the audience as it
Yes.
comes so we could like show them how we're trying to balance it because we're learning with everyone else. And like if you guys are listening and you have tips for us, like please write in or anything that's worked for you. Um, because we're both still just navigating how to balance like you have two careers. I have
Yeah.
basically two with the social media and the tea
Tea
business
business.
and
Yes.
just figuring out like how we manage life and then also be less hard on ourselves in the process.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Giving yourself grace is really what I'm trying, like the starting line for me. I'm going to sneeze.
We're like not okay.
I know. But yeah, giving yourself grace. And like I was telling or like thinking about, I'm like, it's okay because I have learned these patterns. I've done this in therapy. I've made these boundaries. But I think also one thing we haven't said that we've both talked about just like on the side consistently, I've noticed is like this has been the busiest start to the year because we've both had like really amazing opportunities, both personally and professionally, that we want to take advantage of. So we are saying yes more because we want to, but like at what cost, right? The trade-off, I think, isn't there. And so normally it's like if I'm saying more to that, I would be trading off and doing less socially, but like I'm single again. I want to like go out there. I want to meet people. So like I'm not doing that trade-off as much as I normally am. Um,
Could
and
I
so I'm
tell you
trying to give,
something that I
yeah,
did though?
yeah.
Okay. When I was single, my trade-off in my head would be this is like kind of messed up. And I never know if this is right or wrong. And
Hmm.
I've even asked people about this. Like I remember Nick Vial, who like gives dating advice. I asked him when he was on my podcast because I was always wondering if this was negative or positive of me. In my head, I would do the trade-off of is this social event that I'm saying yes to just filling my calendar? And if so, could I even meet someone there? Like,
Yep.
is so if it was like if it was like, hey, let's go to, I don't know, like this place and do a Pilates class and then go to brunch and whatever, and I really needed sleep, I'd be like, am I gonna meet the love of my life doing that? Probably
No.
not. I could table that one for now. It's
Hmm.
like I would plan my social plans around like what I thought would potentially give me opportunity. But then always the flip side of the coin, which is why I don't know if this is good advice, is yeah, but you can meet a girl at the Pilates studio who's like, I have a brother for you.
Yes, that's where my head always
So
goes.
I
But
don't
I think
know
you're
right or
right.
wrong.
I think you're right. And I think it's also knowing yourself. Like it's even I could say the same thing on the other side of the coin of like going on a date, right? Where it's like you like match with somebody and you have like initial chit chat and you're kind of like, I know this isn't going anywhere, but I'm going to go through the motions. But like you never know. So you go. You know what I mean? But like you've also
Exactly.
kind of already made up your
You
mind.
kind of ruled it out already.
Yes, yeah. So it's like, I don't know, it's a weird
I
dance we do with
know.
ourselves.
I know. So like that's the way I would always look at my plans. Like let's say I got invited to like a work event and it wasn't going to move the needle for me in terms of business. Could I
Yeah,
go? Yes. Am I going to realistically meet the love of my life at a work event? No, because it's generally speaking, when I get invited to like a beauty event, women and gay men.
women. Yeah.
So
Yes.
for me, I would be like, I'm just draining my social battery to go to this thing to make like just have appearances to not meet someone and to drain my social battery. So
Yeah.
for me, that's an immediate no. So it's like prioritizing the things that you think like get you closer to your goals. And I think that's the way I started to look at my social plans as I started to say no more. Because when I was new in this industry, I would say yes to every event and every little thing.
Hmm.
And then after doing it for so many years, I was like, those things don't move the needle. And all they're doing is making me tired. And I'm spending my own money getting to and from the place. So
Yeah.
that I look cool on Instagram stories for a night. Like, that's
They
not a
expire in
trade-off for
24
me.
hours. I
I'm done.
know.
Yeah.
No, I know.
So for me, I think it's like maybe creating a lens that you look at plans through.
I love that. I love that, but I think so I think I do that to a degree, but I think the added thing that I need to do right now to put it back into practice to feel natural is that element of actually like being honest with myself and being like, is this going to serve like what I am currently prioritizing? Yes or no?
Mhm.
And like almost grading every opportunity, but I have to be honest with myself because what I have been doing, again, it's this guilt is like I'm justifying everything, you know?
Exactly.
Like I can make it, I can justify every single decision that I made. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, you might meet this person here. The love of your life could be at this thing. And should I leave? Because what if there's this opportunity, you know? And it's just like, just take a minute.
But then I think it's believing and knowing that what's meant for you won't miss you.
Yes,
Like,
totally.
if you were supposed to go there and meet the love of your life and you didn't go, then that's not how the cards
Yeah.
crumble.
Yeah.
I forget who said that to me once. Oh my God, this is even weirder. It was you. I have advice that you gave me
This checks out.
when
This
I
checks
first
out.
moved to
So,
LA. I remember we were at that very first dinner where we met at Craig's, and I said to you, I was like, I just had met you, and I was like, I need an honest opinion. I was like, as someone that is single and someone that moved to LA in their 30s, like I'm scared to move here full time because I want to meet someone. And I don't know if moving here, if I'm not going to meet someone in LA, I don't want to prolong the process of like not meeting
Mm-hmm.
someone. And I just want to know if you had those fears moving here. Like, I don't know if you want to go back home and have a family. I don't know if you want to stay here. I was like, I'm struggling with if I meet someone in LA, then I can never move back home or whatever. At that
Yeah.
point, I was unsure. And you said to me, and this literally really stuck with me. You were like, I believe that whoever you're going to meet, you will meet wherever you are, wherever you're supposed to be. If that's like,
Yeah.
there's a reason you're here. If you're going to go to live in Europe for a year, then you were meant to do that. If you were going to live in the East Coast, then you were meant to do that. You're like, wherever you be, I don't think that's going to stop you from meeting your person. So
Yeah.
like, it's so funny because you gave me that advice and now I'm reiterating it back about like going places and going to events. And it's like, if you're supposed to meet someone and you're not there, then that's not
The
your,
time. Yes. Yep. I agree.
how,
I know you're right. I
yeah,
just feel like every opportunity is an opportunity like to
do
find
something.
the one. Yeah,
Yes.
like, or
One,
like do something. Like it's not just about that, but I think what I need to do, like this is the thing that I've been beating myself up to as well and feeling guilty on the other side of the coin. And I honestly, I want to like also give like ways that I'm trying to course correct because um I was just like I told myself I would be ruthlessly intentional with my time this year.
yeah.
And like I said, there's been really great opportunities that I do want to take advantage of. So I feel like I have to an extent, but I also feel like I've been blurring that line on what ruthlessly intentional means to me because now I have the hiccups because there
Hmm.
is an element of, feeling bad that I'm like, that those trade-offs are like I'm really putting personal and professional before friendships and things like that and I really struggle with that. But I think I need to take a step back and give myself that grace and recognize that like just like you can fall and get up in any other scenario, you can with this as well.
Hmm.
And sort of like course correct the burnout. So
100%.
I'm
100%.
working on it.
I know. I know. I'm working on it too. It's
The other thing on the physical side list is like
Mhm.
sticking what I always notice, especially when I get sick like this, is like it's when I get so busy that any semblance of my routine falls off. Like getting like a full workout in, my vitamins, drinking enough water, sleep, like and I'm like not even like drinking as much as I used to. So it's not like I'm like sitting around boozing or anything like that, but like when I fall off my routine, that's when the cookies start to crumble. Do you notice the same thing?
hard for me to say because I don't have a
Oh
routine.
yeah.
I'm like notoriously a
I'm
non.
so Virgo.
It's so weird how
We should
non.
take personality tests.
I know. I'm like, I did one year. I forget what I was, but it said like this person doesn't have a routine. It was so funny.
Oh,
It
I
was
thrive.
like I don't do one thing the same every day. Like I'm adequate. Sometimes I eat breakfast, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I brush my teeth first, sometimes I drink my coffee first. Like I am out of control. It's
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Wait, we need to have totally separate conversation because I did not know that. And I am so routine. Like, I wake up, I do this for 10 minutes. I like do my meditation, I scroll, I get
I
up,
wish I
I
did
brush,
that.
make the bed. Like, no, it's like so regimented. So when it starts to like not go that way,
Yeah.
I'm like in a tailspin. So it adds to the anxiety. You know what
Yes.
I mean?
I totally get how that would
Whereas you can probably go with the flow way better and let
I
things roll off your
I
back.
could, but then the flip side of that is I'm like, well, I didn't do this morning. I didn't do that. Like if I
Yeah,
knew I
you
would
start
do it
judging yourself.
differently. Yes.
If a therapist heard this episode, also to everyone listening, if you are a therapist, we're so sorry.
Yeah. Also
Again,
help.
help. But also, like, we are just going through it. But I stand firm in the fact that it's like all good things. Like, this is
Yeah.
not for, that's also where I feel guilty because I'm like, and I know I'm sick right now. Like, I'm physically ill, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I pushed myself for my passions and like for good things. This wasn't me like fucking off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
but
also
it
it's
doesn't
like,
make a difference.
yeah, you're allowed to be sick. Like, would this be something that you would do? Because this is what I would do. On days I don't feel well, I will like wear my pajamas and be like, I'm gonna work today because it will make me feel good actually to know that I'm checking things off my list. But I'm gonna work from my bed. I'm gonna wear
Oh,
no
yeah.
makeup. I'm gonna sit in my bed. Like to me, sometimes it's finding that balance of like doing something that's like self-care or being like, I'm going to take a bath and send it off emails. It's like
Yes.
habit stacking and doing like self-care with something productive.
Yeah. When I'm sick, I always like, I don't do the makeup. I'm like, I'm going to be camera off. I
Yeah.
sit on my couch versus like in my office. And I always tell myself, like, I'm just going to like work slowly. So
Yeah.
I don't have that pressure of like rushing and trying to respond to every Slack and every email and get on every call. If I can move calls, I will. And I'm like, I'm just going to like work slowly and get through like the top three things I need to do. And
Hmm.
that'll be that. And like I
100.
try to like barter with myself.
No, same. Like, are we well? Um,
No.
I think it goes to show, just to wrap the segment up, like we don't really have advice. We are working through this ourselves. We are flawed, but perfectly flawed people. And I think that it's probably, there's people out there that I'm sure are like you and routines and like me and aren't routines and
Yeah.
people that are experiencing burnout. And we haven't really done like a little advice segment, but if you guys have any tips for us or any questions, maybe DM us on the Listen Lex account and we could read them next episode or something. And then always dive into this further. But yeah, anything else you have on that before we move into industry
I
news?
do have one. I want us, because
Mhm.
I wrote this down, I want us to make like one commitment to ourselves and
Mm,
hold each other accountable this week.
okay.
So mine, I wrote it down, is that, canceling social plans and understanding that doing nothing at home is still a plan that you've made with yourself. That is the commitment that I am holding to
Mm.
myself this week.
I think what would be a good commitment for me, because I think what stresses me out is that I keep these to-do lists that are like 35 items long.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
almost use them as like I use them to
Goals.
organize me, but I also think inadvertently it's like a self-pressure thing to be like, you didn't get that done today. You didn't
Yes.
do that today. So mine is to put things on my to-do list that I know I could check off that day. So I'm not guilting myself for not finishing something the next day. Like being
Okay.
realistic with what I'm assigning myself each day so I'm able to actually complete it. Because what I do sometimes is bite off more than I could chew. And then I don't get to everything on the list. And then I hold it over my head as guilt.
Yes. I
So
mean,
that's my commitment.
I love that. I'm
I love
holding you
that
to it
too.
as well. And
Yeah,
we're going to do it.
we'll keep each other accountable. And we'll report back next week.
Good.
Um, awesome. Let's get into industry news. We only have one thing, which is the TikTok ban looming pending over everyone's heads. And I'm
Yes.
just curious what your thoughts are on it.
Okay. So I have like altering feelings about this because, okay, the download is like the House voted, both Democrats and Republicans. It was like they were pretty even split on how they voted to ban TikTok unless ByteDance, which is the China-based company that owns TikTok, sells to a US company
Yeah.
because they are afraid that the Chinese owner of TikTok, the company is collecting US data and information, and they're worried about what they might do with that information.
Yeah.
So they want them to sell to a US company. Now, there's a lot that we can get into on that, but basically, the House passed it. So now it goes to the Senate, I believe, right? And they
Yes.
also have to pass it. But I was listening to a video from Taylor Lorenz, who's like she's like an
Mm-hmm.
internet reporter with the Washington Post, I believe now. And she was speaking about the fact that the House made it really difficult for ByteDance to even sell. Like the regulations, restrictions around the timing of the sale to like go through, I think was like 6 months, which like when a company is buying you and there's a merger or an acquisition, like the due diligence is so long, like it could be 12 months. So like they've made it ultimately impossible, even if they do sell, for it to go through on time. So if the Senate votes to ban TikTok, then it can be banned. So it's very scary in the sense that like so many, I think I did a report or I did a video. I think it's like over 7 million small businesses like rely on TikTok
Yeah.
in the US and TikTok shop. And there's 140 million users, I believe, or billion. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I I think it's such a bad look as like a president to get rid of that many jobs. Whether
Yep.
you're like on the Republican side or Democratic side, like I just think everyone always preaches like jobs for you, like for people, jobs for people. And it's like, oh, so let's put all of them out of work.
Yep. I know. And it's just like I've heard so many things, right? They're like, oh, so both sides can ultimately vote unanimously on this decision, but they can't, like, TikTok is a danger to us, but they can't vote against like guns, right? So like there's also that. Like there are those things that come into play. So it's like a bad look for everybody, but it's really a bad look for Democrats right now because it also feels like this is not the single most important thing that's happening in the world at
Yeah.
this point in time. So why is this the priority? And why is it so easy for both parties to come together and vote unanimously more or less on this when there are so many more pressing issues that they are always divided on?
I
So it's just
also
an overall bad look.
I also don't think these like people in office that are in their 60s, 70s even know what they're
Yep.
really voting to get rid of.
Oh, of course.
Like
I'm
I just don't think I think they're gonna have a big wake up call. So it is scary. It does threaten a lot of people's jobs.
yep.
I think if you're an influencer, hopefully you would have like diversified at this point and started to, get followers and consumers elsewhere. But it's more so like business aside, like losing part of my income aside, I would be sad from like an entertainment perspective. And
Yeah.
like I would be sad for all these people's lives that I'm invested in to just like poof, like yeah, I can go follow them on Instagram, but it's like I've built this little community of people that I follow and people I love catching up with. And it's such a great information source. Like it would just be so sad one day to not have that. Like it's an app that I really enjoy as a consumer scrolling.
Yeah. See, I'm very interested to know like where do you spend most of your time? And let's just for the sake of conversation say like Instagram versus TikTok. Like are
Um,
you like a 50-50? Are you like a
no,
70-30?
I'm like a 80-20, like TikTok over Instagram.
Really?
I don't I did this weird thing when Instagram became my job in like 2016, 2018. I stopped using Instagram for fun and I
Yeah.
started using it for business. And the way I always equate it to is like, would you want to open your email on a weekend? Like how I feel about Instagram sometimes
Wow.
is when it became my job. It's like I don't want to open my email on a weekend. I want to open it up, work, put it away.
Yeah.
So I don't really scroll, like I'll look at like the first like 10 people's stories or like I'll open it always and I see like the first three pictures that people post that are in my feed. And then I see like the first few stories and then I close it. And when I open it, it will refresh and then I click those things. I'm not like scrolling on Instagram. I'm not using
Yeah.
the explore page. I never use reels. Like I'm very much like I go to TikTok. I love the people I'm following. I love to find things like I am like a TikTok girly. Yeah.
Interesting. See, I am definitely Instagram, but I find I go on Instagram to go in the DMs.
Yes.
Like I don't like people DM me on TikTok, but like I don't
No,
respond
same.
on
It's separate.
TikTok. I just go there to like scroll more.
Yeah.
But I definitely spend more time on Instagram, which
But
is so
that's why I'm
interesting.
saying it's like my emails because like I go there to look at my analytics, to engage with people in DMs.
Yep.
And like to me, it's work. Like it's like very insight market research based for me.
Yeah,
Like
I
how
get
is
that.
it performing? How's that performing? How many DMs? How many
Whereas
links? Like,
TikTok is your entertainment.
yes. So, yeah, just a little interesting tidbit, but I do think that we will continue to see how this plays out. Hopefully, some things change. Hopefully, it forces a sale. And then if the sale goes through, they don't completely change the app. So, all we could do really at this time is continue to report on it and just like wait and see what happens.
I know. I remember a few years ago they were talking about this ban, but after seeing the restrictions that they put around the sale, I'm more nervous than I was then. But I still feel like
Yes.
it's something that I feel like it's a distraction. Like, it's an election year, and like ultimately
Mhm.
they're just gonna like squash it. Like, I don't
I,
know.
but I think if this goes through in Biden's term, it's really going to hurt
Yeah.
his like public image with like Gen Z and like I actually think it's a really PR perspective of really poor decision for whoever's in office to pass this because you're directly impacting so many young people that could be voters for you.
Yep. And he started, like, the last thing I'll say is like he's literally passing this, and like for this election year, he just made a TikTok account. Like, and he
God,
started posting TikToks. Like, it's so embarrassing and weird.
I just hate it here. Like
I can't talk about the
I
US
know.
politics.
I hate
I
it
mean,
here.
I'm like 2020, at least I had like Chris Evans launching his political app, his like civics app that I was learning about the US
Yeah.
government on.
Oh my
Now he
God.
got married and he's not doing that anymore. I'm like, I can't learn from Chris Evans. Like, I'm doomed.
Everything's gone to the gutter. Like it's just
Everything's
over.
gone to shit.
Oh my
So
God.
you're screwed.
Let's get into pop culture.
We
Do
got
we,
some updates and we have a lot going on.
let's end again with the royal stuff.
Okay.
Because I
Okay.
feel like that's always the most salacious and we have the most to say. Um, let's talk about Love is Blind reunion recap because I feel like it's one of those things where it's like we just need to talk about and get it over with because what happens with this stuff is like I'm already sick of talking about it and hearing about it. So
Yes,
we just
for
need to give
sure.
our 2 cents and like move on.
Yeah, I read a tweet that was like, the most interesting part about the Love is Blind reunion is that the second that it's over, I am no longer invested in these people's relationships.
No, that's the thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm over it. The one thing that I had in my notes that I wanted to say was I just thought it was really interesting how Nick and Vanessa Lachey, on behalf of the franchise, it seemed like they were trying really hard to make um like an example out of people like Trevor and
Yes.
even Sarah Ann when she said that the show was for entertainment. It's like I felt like they were riding so hard on trying to be like, this show isn't about fame, that it's like they were overselling it. It's like, no, we get it.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like, so this is the sixth season, and I know we've all seen like the Bachelor influencer and that trajectory, and people understand coming on these shows can like bring you fame. You
Yeah.
know, we've got like the Harry Jowseys and the Francescas of lore of Netflix reality fame, but like I feel like they were really trying to drill it in that the experiment is like not The Bachelor. Like, you're not coming on
Yes.
here for the wrong reasons. Like, people come on the experiment for the right reasons. And the fact that you haven't or were questioning it is like so disrespectful and insulting. It was like a parent scolding a child.
I just feel like it's not on the cast members to care, it's on casting. And
Yes.
I felt like they were trying to put that burden on the cast members' back, where it's like, well, actually, you guys messed up by not doing your due diligence on these people and figuring out if they had existing relationships at home and if they had clear intentions or not, or pure intentions. It's like, why are you making an example out of them when, yes, they had bad intentions, but who could blame them? A lot of people approach reality TV that way. It's on you guys.
Yes, exactly. I wouldn't even say a lot. I think most people approach reality TV that way
Yeah.
in this day and age, in that like we basically are going on there to try and get a bunch of followers. And no matter what happens with the outcome, like I could go and be totally down and in for the experiment, but still know that like it could rock in my favor. And no matter what, I'm going to get 100,000 followers. I mean, I don't even think they got that much, but like, you know what I mean? But you like would get something out of it. But I
Yeah.
think like the Trevor texts were crazy. I did not see that coming. And I was just like dying at the reunion Because it was like this man came on my TV and he was like, I told this girl I love her. I want to marry her. I miss her so much. But we never had the conversation about her being my girlfriend. So we're not in a relationship. And I was like, this is every man that is like still looking for a situationship in 2024.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, this is the problem. What's
yes.
wrong with people? Like,
It's absurd. I
that's
love you. I want
infuriating.
to marry you, but we didn't have the conversation about her being my girlfriend. Okay.
And not him being like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm toxic. It's like, okay, but that's like the opposite of what you presented.
He came off so bad. Like, that's how you know these people. Like, like Lori K. PR did not reach out to this man and media
Yeah.
train him, you know?
Yeah. She's like, I'm not representing you. Like, you have no
Like,
favor in this.
he handled that really badly. And to your point, Nick just like took it and ran. I feel like he got scolded
It's
real bad.
crazy. Yeah, they really came at them hard. So, yeah, my thoughts there were more so just like, I can't believe how much of an example like the show was trying to make out of these people.
I know. I know. Even Jeremy with like the text from his grandmother, and like they went there with all the stuff that came out, which I did like.
Yeah. It was definitely a much better reunion. I feel like they in years past never acknowledged what the internet was talking about, and this year they made sure that they touch on every single internet rumor because they know that that's
Yes.
what people want to know. So I did think they did a good job. I think what's interesting about Nick and Vanessa is that they're hosts that have opinions and take sides, whereas I think a good host kind of stays more neutral and will
Yes.
hear both sides, and we didn't have that.
Yeah, it was very clear like they were playing favorites, if you will.
Yeah, it's always so obvious like where they stand. And like I like when they have an opinion. Like sometimes you have to bury someone, but other times like you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like I think someone should have kind of gave Sarah Ann the benefit of the doubt. Like I personally think people in past seasons have done exactly what she's done and gotten off for far less.
Yep.
And it's like everyone was so hard on her when I just feel like it's been done before. Look at
I know. I
Bruce
mean,
and the other guy. They're married and having a baby.
yeah. I mean, we've seen it again in like the Bachelor franchise. Like it was like Ari, remember? He was like with that girl
Yes.
and then he went to the other girl. And like they're
Yeah.
married with beautiful kids. And like, so
Yeah.
he made the right choice. But in the moment, it's like people are going to judge. And obviously, Jeremy and Sarah Ann have been together for like a year now. So it works for them.
That's why
Um,
I'm saying, like, sometimes just things are too much. I'm like, just let it go. Everyone be cool.
I know.
All uncool.
And speaking of too much, though, like, why did they not talk to Jimmy and Chelsea? What do you think is happening there?
I thought that that was such a miss. Like, that's who we're all tuning in for. Why did they not ask AD and Clay and Chelsea and Jimmy what their relationship has been like since filming Wrapped? Because AD and Clay, there was clearly feelings there, but I wanted to
Yes.
like, have you guys seen each other? How often do you talk? Have you gone on dates? Like, tell us like what your dynamic is currently like. Same with Jimmy and Chelsea. It's like, have you dated? Do you speak often? Blah, blah, blah. None of that. I was like,
I
hello.
know it was very superficial. So it was, I don't know. It was
I thought
hard
that
for
was a big
me.
miss.
We
Um,
spent too much time with the old couples, but
yeah. Another reality show that I want to discuss is
yes.
Summer House. I think it's been really interesting watching this story between Lindsay and Carl unfold because all we knew of the situation is what Lindsay was giving us. She was going on like she went on Nick Viall's podcast. She was talking to some media outlets, kind of discussing the breakup, acting like she was so blindsided. And then
Yep.
basically, sorry, my nephew, I see the handle. Jake, he's trying to get in.
Oh,
Here
we're
we go.
almost done, buddy.
Um, basically, like we all only knew of the situation what Lindsay put out there. And I think the internet in the beginning was like, oh my God, that was so mean for Carl to completely blindside her, to bring cameras in, not have a personal conversation with her. Like that is so messed up. And I think it was the biggest PR play and slay for Carl to just sit quiet these past 6 months or
Yep.
however long, 8 months, and just be like, I'm not going to talk to press. I'm not going to go on any podcasts. I'm not even going to say anything. You will see.
Exactly. So I think it's really interesting because, again, it takes two to tango. I have always had my opinions on Carl and Lindsay in that they started dating so Alcoholics Anonymous, like you should be in the program for a year before you date anybody. And
Mhm.
they were dating well before that. I think they were like engaged like by the time he was like a year sober or
Yeah.
something, and she stopped drinking too. And then she started drinking again, but you haven't tested that dynamic in your relationship really before getting married or engaged. I think Danielle had a lot of truth to her feelings and hesitations about their relationship in that context. That being said, like I was just very sad for Carl because it was so clear and evident that it is Lindsay when she drinks, the person she becomes. She's had this history. Like, this is not new. She was activated, doing her thing. And so I put the note like, did Carl, everyone's like, I can't believe he put the cameras up. That's so rude. He wants it for TV. I'm like, did he want it for TV or did he want it so like she can't without preparation too? Like he wanted to blindside her with cameras so that she did not have time to prepare a narrative. And if she was truly herself and reacting, we would all get a glimpse of what he's been dealing with.
Yes,
And it's
because I feel
harder.
like reports potentially came out really early on of him. I think he did make one comment, or someone had said like he wanted it on camera so she couldn't spin the narrative.
Yeah. I see that now when we've seen one piece on camera and then one piece in the lift, not an Uber, it was a lift.
Yeah.
And it's like their stories are different. And I don't, there's his side, her side, and the truth. I always say that, like your side, my side, the truth. But like it's just really crazy to see. And then the other thing I'll say is like he was on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy was trying to like egg him on a little bit, being like, "Are you nervous for the reunion?" Da 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 da. And he was like, "No, like I like I will speak my truth. Like I own what I did. Like I know why I did it." Like he was so calm that I'm
Mm,
just like, Carl is not playing the little game anymore. Like Carl is like, I got out of
eyes
this for a
open.
reason. Yeah.
I thought it
Yes.
was really telling when Jesse Solomon, who I love how he's now a firsty lasty. Like if I just
I
said
know.
Jesse, you'd be like, who?
No,
I
it's
thought
Jesse
it
Solomon.
Yeah, I thought it was really telling when you could tell he'd never seen the show previously because he said something that I think a lot of people clocked his line of being like, well, I've never been engaged, but I'm pretty sure this is what it's not supposed to be like. I clocked that, but what I really clocked was another line that he said, where he said to Carl, he goes, wait, let me like understand this. You got engaged to this person knowing that she responds to things like this. And Carl was like, well, yeah, I just didn't know if it'd be so bad, like once we were together. And he basically alluded to the fact of like, what even made you propose? Like knowing
Yeah.
that she handles situations this way. And I just thought it was interesting because it's like someone coming in who doesn't know the history, who's looking at this from a different perspective, being like, this is what you
Why
signed
would
up
you?
for.
Yeah.
And it
Like,
was
why would
just
you even go there?
Yes. And I was just like, oh my God, he doesn't even know like what he's getting into by saying stuff like that or what the history is. But I do think that like what people are seeing in the house, they are living with them day in and day out. So there has to be truth to what they're seeing because it seems like a lot of other people thought that Lindsay spun the narrative as well with like the whole fight. Like a lot of people were like, that's not what happened.
Yes. And you can tell that people are like Gabby, who's on Lindsay's side, is like trying to use her words carefully and how she's framing things on
Yeah.
camera. I also wonder with like Lindsay saying she was blindsided, all this coming out, we were all so quick to take her side because it was like coming off of the fumes of Scandival.
Yeah.
And so it was like, this had just happened to Ariana and now it happened to Lindsay. Like, what's happening with these men in Bravo? Da, 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 da. Like, I felt like that was playing a part of it too. But it
Well,
was just,
I think it was playing a part in it for her as well.
yeah, no, no. I mean, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's like knows what she's doing. And like, I do want to be very clear. I don't think Tom, Carl. is 100% innocent. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure that they have dynamics that like they both need to work on, but it was very clear that this was a sensitive subject for him. And so I don't understand why she got drunk a second weekend and dropped allegedly, because we didn't see it, but like dropped the same, spiel of like, what are you on? Like, why go there a second time
It
if you
feels
did?
like it's like a defense of her own relationship with alcohol, which is like, should he be with someone like that? Like, I think that alcohol on Bravo, which is like a whole nother topic, just plays such a role into these dynamics. I think there's
Yes.
I think there's different levels of alcohol, like relationships. I think one of them is like me, who I could literally go sober and I would never bat an eye. Like
Yep.
genuinely, I have no attachment to alcohol. I don't even really like it. Like I could go a year without drinking easily and not even think about it.
Yep.
Or you could be someone who could like drink on weekends and enjoy alcohol but be healthy. Then you could be someone who drinks and isn't a full-blown alcoholic but has this unhealthy attachment that they can't stop when they do drink and they turn into a different person. Then you can be
Yes.
like full-blown alcoholic. Like I think there's so many levels to this, but I think what we see on Bravo so much is a lot of that in between where it's like these people who like love to drink and love to drink a ton, and they're not like living, breathing alcoholics. Like they don't wake up and have a drink,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
they could drink all day for 16 hours and they like have no problem just like living day after day like that when they're on a trip or when they're partying. And it fuels a lot of these like conversations and conflicts on the show. And we see it play out in so many dynamics. And I don't know, I just find it fascinating to see how people's like varying relationships with alcohol play a role in all of these dynamics.
Yeah, because I mean, the alcohol makes people irrational or makes them react in a different way than they would if they were sober, let's say. You know what I mean? And I think there's also like this element of like, we've seen like we've grown up with like a lot of these cast members. Like Amanda was probably higher on the spectrum of like where Lindsay is, but now she's like, I want to eat ramen and like go to bed, like
Yeah,
she's like
totally.
evolved and grown, but there are still those people like Lindsay who's now like back in her activated Lindsay situation. And she's just like, I am like, she's getting there. She's drinking how many martinis, rosé, mixing alcohol. And I think I forget what Carl said, but it was like, I don't have a problem with her drinking. It's how she
Act.
treats me and acts when she drinks that I thought would change and I don't know how to deal with. And it's like that actually hasn't changed. And I think that's like a fair point for him to make as a sober person. But also
Yeah.
like it's fair for him to make the decision maybe we shouldn't be together.
Well, he has to assess like, is this something I could deal with or want
Yeah.
to deal with or is fair for me to deal with? Yeah, it's very interesting. We'll continue to see how it plays out. I think I was definitely one of those people in the beginning who felt so bad for Lindsay. I messaged her being like, I'm sorry. I can't believe you were blindsided. I'm sure she was still so upset, but it is a little telling now to be like, oh, there were some really deep issues that I don't know. I understand why he would maybe be like, this isn't forever for me.
Yes. Yeah.
And honestly, not forever for her either. He did them both a favor.
I fully agree. Divorce is way more expensive than canceling a wedding.
Exactly. 100%. Also, we had Paris Hilton in the press this week slamming Mauricio, her uncle, Kyle Richards' separated husband, for
Yeah.
using the Hilton name to plug his quote unquote lame show, she said. And I think that this was the first time that Paris really addressed the feud between her father and Mauricio publicly. And
Yeah.
it feels like people are kind of now like drawing lines in the sand.
Yeah. And Maurizio spoke on it too in an interview for Buying Beverly Hills. And he was like, it's like not, I forget what he said specifically, but he basically was like, I had an opportunity to do something for my family and I wanted to build something for my children and my kids. So I took that opportunity and like there's no love lost there. And I have respect for the Hiltons and things like that. But he very much made it like, if I stayed under somebody, like he sort of pivoted, right? Like if I stayed in that situation and stayed under Rick and whatever, I wouldn't have built what I built for my children. And then he very quickly steered into like his three daughters were there and he's like, I work with them every day and this and that. And I was like, okay, like you really PR spun that. Like Trevor, take a
Yeah.
note.
He just like, zoop, like,
Yes. Yeah,
I'm out of there. But you know what? I don't blame him. Like, if you know that you made a comment that's going to piss people off, you're not going to keep talking about it.
exactly.
And to my understanding, what he said wasn't slander. It wasn't untrue. It was just like, this is what happened. I worked with Rick is his name.
Yes. Yeah.
I worked with Rick Hilton. I wanted to become like partner or whatever. He didn't want to make me partner, so I went out on my own. I don't
Yeah.
really think it was like super slanderous, but I think it's always been an unspoken rule in the household where there's probably two opinions on both sides of the family, and it's kind of like we don't talk about it. So I think Paris was probably like, keep keep my wife's name out of your fucking
Yes. Oh my gosh.
like it
I'm
was one
so,
of those,
yeah, she went off. She snapped. That
She's
was her
not.
tipping point.
But I kind of love it because we never see a feisty Paris Hilton
I
going
know.
going
I
across
love
the
when she gets
family.
it though.
Um,
Um,
oh, what's our next thing is Gypsy Rose deleted her Instagram.
I know. So she said she deleted her Instagram and her TikTok account, saying, real life is something you can touch, something you can feel, people you can actually hug. With public scrutiny as bad as it is, I just don't want to live my life under a microscope. And so she deleted it. And honestly, I was really worried when she immediately got out of jail
Me
and
too.
got Instagram and TikTok and went full influencer girly. So I think I'm happy for her to return at some point, but if she needs the break, so happy for her.
This shows me that the person I saw in interviews who seems like someone of growth and like someone that's like learning and maturing, it shows me that she's who she looks like she's becoming,
Yes,
portraying she's becoming. I thought that this was such an interesting thing for her to acknowledge, like, this isn't real life and like I need to live my life. And I was like proud. I'm like, go off, sis. Like, you don't need
yeah,
followers. They're not, she is someone that was such a prisoner for so long that she should just be enjoying life. And she doesn't need all of that shit to
I
do.
know. And I'm sure she's got money from like the book deal and the TV shows and things like
So,
that. So
yeah.
I'm happy for her, but I was really nervous when she got on socials and I was like, I don't want people to just like rev her up, pull, like suck what they can out of her and leave her high and dry. So
100%.
yeah, I'm glad to see it.
Me too. I thought it was really nice to see in a world of us all wanting followers and like just deleting 8 million of them. Like, that
I
is
know.
pretty savage and pretty cool. And I was like,
I know.
hop
Like,
off it.
wow. I love that for you.
Could never be me.
Never. I feel like amazing. Let's do this. What else can I do? More, more, more.
But, that-
Clearly.
but
And then
that's
we're
why I
burnt out by
respect,
March.
yes, that's why I respected it so much though, because I don't think many people would do that.
No, not at all.
We got
Um,
a Caitlyn Jenner slash Lamar
yes. Keeping up
podcast.
with sports is genuinely the name of their podcast.
Who wants to listen to those two people talk sports? Because I assume a lot of their audience are females from the show. And
Yes.
not to say females aren't into sports, but it's like, that's just not where I'm going to be going for my sports news. So I don't
And
really,
that like that audience, like I would listen to that. I haven't. I would like listen to it one time because I am a Kardashian fan, not because
yes,
I'm a sports fan, and I'm both. Like to your point, I have a laundry list of sport podcasts that I would listen to before that as my
yes.
go-to sports updates podcast, you know?
I think the only way they'll get people in is if they interview like really cool athletes and like sometimes the guests brings in listeners. But otherwise, like, I don't really need to listen to like Caitlyn and Lamar like shoot the shit on like yesterday's game.
Exactly. I have no desire.
It also just feels so, I'm trying to think how to put this, but like it feels so like washed up to like for both of them to team up together. Like, Chloe's stepfather and her ex-husband
Hmm.
are launching a podcast clinging onto their name and playing off their likeness. It's like it just feels kind of like they're using them. Like I don't love
They
it.
are. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Like, just call it what it is. They are absolutely
Yeah.
using them. Like, for Caitlyn Jenner to always go around and like slam the Kardashians and Chris and everything, and then like team up with Lamar to launch this podcast, whether it's about sports or not, like, to your point, it is the likeness and familiarity of the fact that they are both associated with the Kardashian name. And it's just interesting because it's like, I guarantee you, if anybody is even producing this podcast, like they only are doing it because the two of them are doing it together on the back of the Kardashian name.
Yeah, and it feels tacky.
It is tacky.
You're still
It's not going to
using your
last.
divorce from Chloe, who you betrayed, and then you're using your stepdaughter, who like we don't even know what your relationship is like with her. Like
Yeah,
the whole thing to me is just like icky.
I know.
Like go get fame and money some doing something else. But yeah, I don't love it. Finally and lastly,
And lastly, well, there's two things happening with the Royals this week. I love our little Royal corner, our little
I
tea
know
corner.
because I'm really into it right now, and a lot has happened with Kate, and then something happened with Megan.
Yes.
Smaller, obviously.
Yeah. So Megan launched American Riviera Orchard, which was an Instagram account she launched late last week. It looks like it is a Goop lifestyle-esque brand. And then some people did some digging, and it looks like she has trademarking holds on everything from like tea towels to jams. And, it's going to be very homely.
So she's
Um,
coming for my brand.
yes, absolutely, she is.
She's coming for tea.
And it's just interesting to me that I have been wanting the TIG for years. I'm like, bring back the TIG. That's what you got to
Yeah.
do. But then she brings back this like American Riviera Orchard. Like, did you watch the little video that she had put out on the
Mhm.
Instagram? Like, I'm very curious for your thoughts because I have thoughts
I think
as it relates to the branding.
I heard a few people say something that I thought was interesting, which is like, why include the word American in your like the name of this thing? Because you obviously like your children are half British.
Hmm.
So I don't know, it just feels a little weird to like associate a country to the brand when they're like citizens of the world.
Yes. And so American Riviera is like a nickname for Santa Barbara where they live. But
Hmm.
still, like I get that sort of nod to them and that lifestyle that she's trying to curate. Orchard. Someone was like, why did they put Orchard? I'm like, I guarantee you it was like American Riviera. It's like a trademarking issue because
Yeah.
it is known as like Santa Barbara is known as that. Like, I'm like, they probably just slapped Orchard on there.
She has like one orange tree in the back of her house.
Yes, exactly.
I like the branding. I think that I like that it's like very like royal, like hotel aesthetic. Um, I don't really have opinions on this. I think a lot of people thought that she was putting this out at the height of the Kate missing news, um, to like take attention away or to steal the thunder. I personally am not a huge conspiracy theorist with that kind of stuff. I believe that these things are pre-planned and pre-timed, and for months on end, everything
Yeah.
is kind of planned. So I don't think this has anything to do with Kate's quote unquote disappearance. I think it was just unusual timing.
I agree. So she launched this on the anniversary of their freedom flight, was the flight that they took when they left and came to Canada, I believe, Canada to the LA, like when they left the royal family. So that was like the 4-year anniversary of that flight. And everyone calls it Freedom Flight Day. So it's like
Hmm.
when they got free. So I think scheduling on that day and having that significance, like trumps whatever was happening with Kate. But I actually would err on the side of like, they are now, after talking about the royals, especially Meghan more so than Harry, like they are now trying to actually distance themselves from the royals. So she's like, I'm just going to release this because this is when it was scheduled to. And like,
Mhm.
I'm not even thinking about, like, I'm not even paying attention to that noise because I'm focusing on what I'm doing here. So I
Yeah.
actually would say, like, in her brain, she like aired on that side more than I'm trying to like ride the coattails of the Kate
Yes.
controversy. Because she knows that even if she like did that, people are going to react negatively. You know what I
Also,
mean?
if she did this in 6 months from now, people would say it was about Charles. If she did it in
Exactly.
like, they're
Exactly.
gonna always draw a common.
Parallel.
Yes, exactly. So for me, I'm interested to see what she creates. I like her. I'm a fan. I like Megan.
I like Megan too. I worry about this branding and this like what she's selling because I'm like, who's like, I need to understand who her audience is.
Yeah.
That if what's going to make them, because her audience feels like a goop demographic, like they can buy those things. Like it's not going to be cheap, I'm sure. It's not Chrissy Teigen's cravings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, how is she going to compete with a goop? Is what I'm curious about.
I don't understand how certain people could get away with like being so rich and show making that their personality trait, whereas when other people do it, they're unrelatable. Like I've always found it so interesting how there's like certain influencers like Pookie and Jet, who like their
Yeah.
whole image is about being luxury and people eat it up and think it's so wholesome. But then you could have someone else who could post a designer bag and it's like, you're so materialistic. It's like
Yes.
what makes consumers like feel not jealous or not. I don't know how to describe what I'm saying, but I wonder, like, I think if she came out with a prestige line, she might get flack.
Agreed. And with Megan, it's like a few things. I mean, number one, it's like racism. That's an
Yeah,
element to it.
100%.
But also there is a overarching idea that like she didn't work to earn her fame. So
Mm.
like she married a prince. She didn't really work as a working royal. And then like 2 years later, they left. And then they're like riding this fame coattails of being the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So there's that like air and mentality. But then like I laugh at that because I'm like, Gwyneth Paltrow like is the quintessential. She's like the definition of Nepo baby. Like you look up Nepo
Yes.
baby in Webster's dictionary and it's a picture of Gwyneth. Like she came before Dakota, she came before Jonah Hill, like everybody. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you're right. It's like she's always just owned that that's who she is and people are fine with that. I think with Megan it's like she didn't earn it and then she also tries to act like she's like above it.
But like yes, 100%. But then like look at like a Sophia Richie, who it's like people love the aesthetic. It's like some people could get away with being like, I think it is racism because some people could get away with, but I guess Sophia Richie's black, but she's not black. What's it called when you black
Yeah, she's
passing?
white passing.
She's
Like
white passing.
she's yeah.
So I feel like it's this thing where certain people, for whatever reason, are like allowed to be privileged, and then certain people
Yes.
aren't.
And like Sophia Richie also is like an American, like Megan, I think a lot of the racism stems from the UK. You know what I mean?
Does. Yeah.
So I think that's also an element of it. But it's really, I'm interested. I mean, if she's got a nice candle, I'll always buy a candle.
Oh yeah. I like the branding, like the look aesthetic wise.
I feel like it's a little like sepia for me. But
Mm.
again, I might not be her demo. Like I like goop because I like clean. I
Yes.
don't like that it's like,
No, it's giving like that like cottage core homesteader
yes. It's
vibe,
like
which
I don't
I
want to buy
agree.
a live, laugh, love sign from you.
No, me either. Um, this
You want to
freaking
talk
meeting's gonna
Kate?
this meeting's gonna end in 1 minute again.
Oh, shoot.
Could you expand? Could you hold on, meeting? How do I like make a meeting longer? Or could we just keep going? I just wanted to kick us off.
Let's keep going and see. If it kicks us off, we'll just jump.
Okay. Yes, let's talk Kate. We have our expert correspondent.
Let's talk Kate because now we've seen Kate. TMZ and The Sun in the UK released photos of William and Kate, allegedly, and video walking at a farm shop near their home. So, this again, it's like they're damned if they do, they're damned if they
Yeah.
don't, because they released this. And of course, Twitter conspiracy theorists, my best friends in the last 3 months, went feral. They started removing the grain and they're like, if I remove this with AI, that's not Kate. They found like her a body double and they're like, it could be her. They're looking at the height differences of photos and they're like, maybe it's not William. He was in a hat. People are just like not going to be satisfied. And I don't know if it's Kate or not. I am accepting that it's Kate. I'm like tired. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I've accepted this is Kate. We're going to see her at Easter. All well and good. People made compelling arguments, but at this point, I'm like, I can't keep living like this.
My favorite part of all of this is that this is going to be like an Avril Lavigne part two, where like now from here on out, even when Kate's like alive and thriving, like people are still going to always just think it's a double,
Correct.
a stunt
Yes.
double. Like no one's ever going to think it's really Kate. And that's like,
Never.
it's like the internet part of me thinks that's really funny.
And that's kind of the thing, right? Like they've kind of royally, for lack of a better term, screwed this up. And it's like, it actually doesn't matter if it's her or if it isn't her at this point.
Yeah.
Like it is just, they have lost trust and
Yeah.
credibility with the public, and they're never, or at least for a very long time, going to get it back. And
But
that is a tough spot for them to be in.
the photo of Kate did prove a few theories wrong. So let's go through what they
Yes.
proved wrong. She did not get
Number
a
one,
BBL.
she did not get a BBL. She did not get bangs. She
She
also is not dead.
she also is not holding a poop bag.
Yes, but she has like, I think this is one thing that I am putting on my tinfoil hat this week for, because the photo that they showed us in the car, I was like, again, so willing and ready to accept that that was her. But we talked about how like her face was fuller and she was like bloated, right? And I was like, it could be medication she's on. You never know. For that person to now be this person 2 weeks later, she's extremely thin. And I'm not judging, I'm just saying it as a state of fact. Like, and I could see if she had a surgery, perhaps she lost a ton of weight. But in my mind now, the only thing I will say is like, we either saw Kate yesterday or we saw Kate in that car,
Yes.
but both of them are not Kate.
I don't think she was in the car.
Yeah.
I think the car picture was old, personally. I don't know why. I just thought that from the beginning. It I just don't you feel as though if they were at this farm thing, was it a public thing? Like, wouldn't there be consumer videos?
Yes. I don't know why. That's the other thing. It's like, I don't know why you only got one video. I don't know if like they closed down the farm shop for them to do
Mhm.
this walk, like if they blocked off an area for them and somebody happened to catch it in their car. Like I still firmly believe like this was a PR walkabout.
Oh,
Like
100%, because there's rumors that William is having an affair. There's rumors about
yes.
Kate. It was 100% the Palace PR, whoever being like, we need you two together as a united front, going out there and walking. And what makes me sad about that is if Kate is suffering in terms of just like recovering from something or mentally or whatever it may be, I just hate how they are puppets of
Yeah,
the monarchy.
I know.
It's a very sad life.
It's sad, but like that's the other thing. It's like it's her choice. Like for her especially, it was her choice. She
But
chose that life.
I think you could sign up for it not knowing how hard it's going to
Of
be.
course, you can be
You
naive.
know, you
Yes.
could be like, I
Yeah.
love this person. Like, yeah, I'm signing up to be royal. I know that there's responsibility, but then it's one thing when you're in it and they're controlling your every move and you don't have free will.
Now, here's the joke to bring it all back. Imagine Kate was just burnt out and she was like, I'm going to take 3 months off.
Kate's doing what we don't have the strength to do.
Exactly. Kate set a boundary.
Oh man, I do feel bad for her. Oh wait, one last thing.
Yes.
I thought, do you think it was irresponsible of Kim Kardashian to make her caption like, "Where's Kate?" when, as a woman of public scrutiny, she knows how damaging rumors could be? Or do you think it's just all in good fun?
I think it's all in good fun. And I think like people, obviously not the royals, but like she might be internalizing it and like, well, people like say things about me all the time, every day. Like, and you,
Yeah.
it's fine. So like she's just doing it. But I thought that was clever as fuck. Like I
I thought it was clever
appreciated
too.
it. I'm
Yeah.
like, that is a subtle way to be like, I'm in the zeitgeist. Like I'm all in. We're all in.
Yeah. I thought it
It
was.
just shows how this consumed all of us.
Mhm. But I just wonder if behind the scenes, like I imagine Kate being like, you really had to add to this. You have the
Yes,
biggest
for
platform.
sure.
Like, come on.
For sure.
So
Oh my
it's
God.
interesting.
Ugh, she's not getting invited to the palace anytime soon.
So I think my final feeling on Kate is I do think it's her. I think she's alive and well. I think I feel for her. I think she's probably been through some shit with the family, with whatever's going on.
Hmm.
Um, I do believe I do believe it's her, even though I put like quote unquote Kate on my story because it just doesn't look like how we know her to be. But
Correct.
I think we're all just kind of having fun with it at this point. I don't believe it's like a body double or anything, although I wouldn't put it past the
At
palette.
this point, I'll put nothing past them. And I need to see her in a clear photo at Easter,
Yeah.
and then I will feel good. So we got a week and a half.
Everyone's just waiting for Easter.
Watch this
Basically.
space.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that's a wrap for today.
That is a wrap.
Thank you so much.
We
Good
are going to
luck.
live the slow life this week. I'm holding you accountable to your to-do list. Please
Yeah.
hold me to blocking out time for myself as a plan,
Yes.
and we'll let you know how it goes.
Let you guys know. We will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.